Hi everyone, thank you for joining us for Tired as a Mother. Today I have a special guest that understands what that statement means because she is a mother herself, Melissa McFaddin, which is President McFaddin's wife. She's also a mental health professional and she has 3 young children, so she knows all about the craziness and balancing life and what it takes. So thank you for being here today.
Absolutely, glad to be here.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your family.
Let's see. We'll start with me and David. David and I have been together this August. Will be, 21 years married, 25 together. So quite a bit of time. We met young, married young. But despite that, we waited until a little later in life, and then some infertility stuff made us wait a little longer to have kids. So despite being together that long, we have 3 kids, ages 3, 6, and 8.
Fun.
Yes, a lot of fun, a lot of keeping us on our toes. I would like to say it keeps us young, but I don't know about that one.
Maybe a few extra gray hairs.
Yes,
once
a few
that
extra
along.
gray hairs, a few more sleepless nights at this age is a little bit tougher. But at the same time, you know, they do keep us a lot more active and on our toes with stuff. So
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your busy schedule. You balance a lot of stuff in your life.
Yes, absolutely. David's schedule is obviously not a very normal one. I grew up with parents. My mom was a teacher. My dad worked for the power company. And when people talk about 9 to 5 schedules, that was it. My mom was always off when we were off from school. My dad came home at a certain time. We immediately sat down and had dinner. There was a routine to life. That will never be said about the life of a president and his family. There's very little routine. So we're pretty flexible and go with the flow when it comes to things. The last few years, I've mostly been staying at home and kind of putting my career and professional life on the back burner to kind of help keep the balance and to keep the consistency in our family. Our kids are at the age where they do a lot of after school activities and a lot of school involvements and things. Typical week for David is getting home somewhere around 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening on a good night. There's definitely a lot of nights and weekends that are longer than that. It's most definitely a 70-plus hour work week. And when he comes home, it's not as simple as saying, go put your phone on the charger, because that phone rings and texts come in. And a lot of business gets done in the evenings and at nights because he's stuck in meetings all day long or traveling. So we have to be flexible a lot. The kids are flexible a lot. A lot of dinners and takeouts and things like that. But we make it work. And I try to provide as much consistency as I can just by kind of being there and being there in the evenings and keeping things at home running as smoothly as possible.
Do you have any tools in your life that help you run things as smoothly as possible? Maybe scheduling, calendars. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I'm a very solid type B personality. So scheduling and calendars is not my forte. It is what I live by because I have to live by it. But quite honestly, I'm a big fan of keeping myself flexible, which means I don't try to pin myself down and I don't try to keep expectations high. If it's been a crazy and hectic week and the dishes are piling up a little and the laundry's going to wait till the weekend, I don't sweat it. I let that, I've learned to let some of that stuff go to cope. Otherwise, I'd probably find myself up until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning
Yes.
trying to make all of that stuff. So we, when it comes to our home life, we let go of perfection. I think that's been one of the biggest things we've done over the last few years is just letting go of this idea of always having everything perfect and neat and tidy and just saying, are the basics taken care of? Are the clothes clean? Is there food in the fridge? And, are the kids happy and well? And we've kind of let go of the drive for perfection or those Pinterest perfect houses. So I would say that's my biggest thing is just learning how to let things go. And I know for a lot of people that's different because having that stuff in order sometimes brings other people peace. For me, it doesn't. So I've learned to do what works for me. I've learned that laundry baskets are your friend. Because when the house is feeling really cluttered and overwhelmed, but you don't have the time, taking 10 minutes and walking through the house and piling all of the stuff in a laundry basket to get back to at a later date brings a lot of peace to my life.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
And it makes life a lot easier. It keeps me from running back and forth room to room. And while it's not perfect, because everything is not put away and neat and orderly, it works for me because it brings a little bit of peace and order. My kids, at least my two oldest, are thankfully at that age where they can start picking up and cleaning up after themselves. And while, every once in a while we have a perfectly organized playroom because it looks really nice and neat, I've also learned that really big bins are your friends, because trying to get a 6 and an 8-year-old to organize things is not the easiest task in the world. But saying go in the playroom and throw everything in the bins so it's up and off the floor and the clutter is gone, good enough is good enough.
Especially at that age. Like, I'm looking so forward to getting to the whole older stage with my 2 and 4-year-olds. And I'm like, okay, there's hope for me. There is hope.
Yes. Online shopping is my friend. Saves me from going out to the store and wasting hours traveling and going back and forth. Amazon delivery people are very familiar with our house and come at least 3 or 4 times a week. I do all my probably vast majority of my grocery shopping online, doing ClickList or Walmart pickups, because again, it saves me so much time. My phone is always with me, so to pop on and add things here and there and schedule pickups, right before or right after school pickups, so it's all easy to do. And the kids are, they enjoy carrying groceries in and helping out with that kind of stuff. So finding all those little time-saving things that kind of keep me from wasting my time in areas when somebody else can kind of be doing the work for me probably helps out a whole lot as well. I've not gotten to the point yet of getting a house cleaner, although I'm close. It's one of those things where you feel like you have to have your house in order enough to have somebody else come in. But I'm almost on the verge of saying maybe about once a month I'll have somebody come in, do that nice deep clean here and there. David keeps trying to push me to do that. I'm like, I'm just not quite ready for it. But like when I can get everything ready for it, I'll give in to that one. Because we're definitely really big do-it-yourselfers, so it's hard to let go sometimes. But I think we're finally at that stage of life where the value in paying somebody else to do some things for us is finally there, because time is such a valuable commodity for us. It's just a hard transition to make because I'm used to kind of doing everything myself. Yeah. And it's not always possible with the life we lead and the schedules we keep. So
one thing that I've talked about in previous episodes is creating a tribe for yourself as a mom. Do you have people that really help you out or, advice along the way?
I think David and I are pretty independent. We're kind of each other's go-to for almost everything. Because I think a lot of our friends, we find they've got lives just as busy as ours, and they're involved in a whole bunch of things. So we tend more to be kind of each other's go-to. Now David's kind of outlet is, he goes and plays tennis, once or twice a week, and does some doubles tennis with some different people. And that's a big outlet for him. I'm what you call an introverted extrovert. So I prefer alone time and quiet time and peace time. But as you can see, I'm perfectly comfortable public speaking and being out and about. It's not something I crave. So for me, downtime and peace to read a book or watch a movie is more my coping. Probably the biggest thing that we have that is our tribe is grandparents. My parents moved here to Richmond about 8 years ago when we had our oldest. Because my sister's also in Lexington with 3 grandkids as well. So they were up here all the time. So they retired and made the move to Richmond. And then this past summer, David's parents moved here as well. And so literally from where we live right now, one set of grandparents is a mile down the road and the other set of grandparents is a mile down the road. And that is absolutely invaluable because there are things that come up all the time where at the last minute I need somebody to watch the kids for just an hour or two, or just take one, especially take our youngest so I can take the other 2 to lessons or different things. And that is absolutely invaluable to have. I really don't know how we would live without having that resource because there's so much unpredictability for us and things that come up. And so having grandparents close by has been an invaluable thing for us.
And I'm sure if they're anything like my kids' grandparents, they like your kids probably think it's a vacation.
Oh yes, they beg. My youngest is 3, and I pick him up from Burrier every day. And every day he asks me, I go Nana's house, I go Mimi's house. No, we're not going anywhere today. We go swimming. We go Sissy's tennis. Like he always wants to know what the plan is when I pick him up. But yeah, he's game for going to a grandparent's house at any day or time.
Now, whenever you had your first child, something I've learned in motherhood is when you have your first child, it's like a trial and error thing. You learn by doing, by failing, and trying again. So tell us a little bit about that journey for you and how you got to your place where you're at right now.
Well, I didn't get that trial and error till our third came. Our first was that dream child, the one that you could have had 20 of. She slept perfectly. She never cried. She hit all of her milestones. She was an early talker, and everything was so easy with her. I literally tell people the first year of her life, I don't think I ever heard her cry more than once or twice. And she slept through the night at 4 months old, and it was a dream. Thought, oh, we're just great parents. I mean, look at we've killed this parent thing. Look at it. It's so great. And then we had our second, and she wasn't as easygoing, but she's what I call a normal baby. Oh, this is what a normal baby does. She fusses a lot. She wants to be held, doesn't sleep perfectly or easily. This is what everybody's talking about, but this is just normal. And then we had our third. And when you have people talk about one and dones, or if I'd had this one first, there wouldn't have been any other after. That might have been our third, because he definitely has put us through the ringer, because he was not easily soothed, and he did not sleep, still does not sleep well at 3 years old. And that's, I question sometimes, would it have been easier to have him if it was just him and no other kids? Or is it easier as a seasoned parent to have him but also have 2 other kids? And I don't know. I don't have any answers for that. All I can say is the best thing that ever happened to me was this past year when he was old enough to go to Burrier and to be in preschool and to get some separation from mom and to be, out and about and stuff. That was a real blessing. And that was huge for him because maturity-wise, he grew up a whole lot. So like I said, we had a little backwards experience, I think, with ours. We went from easy with each child getting harder along the way. And again, I learned to let things go. I learned not to stress so much about the house being perfectly picked up or cleaned or, always holding a baby. If that's what it takes to have peace, then just accept the peace and accept that, sometimes when you're in hard phases of life, it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. Sometimes it's better just to be at peace and in the moment with stuff, and you'll deal with the catch-up part later.
Learn to let it go.
Exactly. Learning to let it go is definitely the motto of the day when it comes to finding some peace where you're at when things seem really hectic and overwhelming.
You talked about how you had kind of a variety of different children and personalities. So what would you say to the moms out there that may have some wild childs, as you could say, wild children? What's some tips to kind of really balance that in your family and help those kids?
Well, I think we've definitely learned that anytime we are together as parents, it's one person with 2 and one-on-one with the wild child. And we've learned that, he's a very my way or the highway kind of kid, and he's been that way since he was a baby. And, we kind of had that idea of, we're going to be tough and we're going to be firm about stuff, and we're going to kind of get him out of these modes. And we've learned it's just not worth it. We have our things that, we still stand firm on as parents, and we don't let him run the show. But we've also learned that some things are just not worth fighting. Accepting those personality parts of your kids, and that, their ability sometimes to cope with stuff or to cope with stress or how they deal with things is just different. And learning to accept that and not always fight against the grain. Because like I said, with our first, we would have thought we were just perfect parents. We had this stuff all figured out. And then we found out it had absolutely nothing to do with us. She it was just the way she was. And like I said, with number 3, every month that passes and a little bit of age and maturity, things get better and better with him. But he's still our wild child. He's still our one that's not going to conform, and it's going to be his way when it comes to certain things. And we've learned what's worth fighting and what's worth not fighting about to have that peace when it comes to stuff. And when it comes to their unique personalities, you learn to make the best out of all of them. With our youngest, Connor, it's learning to be amazed with him, seeing him grow up, knowing that he's our last, and seeing him go through those stages where he's growing up into a little boy now and not a baby and a toddler. You learn to appreciate and enjoy the things that make you laugh, and the things, we were just talking this past week, we actually had some downtime during spring break, which is a true rarity for us. And, he was doing things and running around the house and growling at his sisters, and we were like, all boy. And, but we just had to sit there and kind of laugh and roll our eyes at those things instead of saying quiet down or don't do this or don't do that. We just have to accept that's just part of who he is and how he plays and does things, and just smile and laugh about it, and, take your phone out and take the videos and make memories of that kind of stuff so that you appreciate it later on,
Yeah. So you have experience in the mental health field, working with families, working with children. Yeah. What would you give advice to moms to take care of themselves and really to create a positive mental health environment, not just for themselves, but for their family?
Yeah. The first thing I would say, don't get your idea of what marriage and family and parenthood is from social media. Because on social media, we all present our best. We all present the funny stories of our kids or the sweet moments with, our spouses and our other halves. And not many people get to see the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Believe me, I see cute pictures of my kids that I've got on my phone, and I go, oh, I can't post that because look at the mess that's in the background. So I either edit it or I find a different one,
Totally
so
relate
people go,
to that.
oh, your house looks perfect. No, that's, you don't want to see this room over here. Maybe this room is, but don't look at that room, close the door there. So don't get your picture from that. Enjoy those things for what they are. It's nice seeing into other people's lives and being able to catch up with them, but don't buy into the idea that that's people's perfect reality, because we always put forth our best. And so, don't buy that falsehood. Number 2 is, while it's great to get advice from other people, and to get other people's input, realize that people do what works for them. And sometimes people do things out of tradition and out of habit, and they don't even question whether or not it works for them. All you have to do is ask a new parent, as someone who's pregnant, what are all the stories that people have told you about their pregnancies and their labor and delivery stories? And it runs the gamut. You have people who are prone to the negative, who want to tell you everything bad that happened. You have people who are prone to the rosy and the positive, that want to tell you about their, their Earth Mother experience that was all natural and no pain and no medicine. And, we didn't find out the gender, and we did all of these things. And all of those things will make you question yourself. But the fact is, we're all individuals, and we all, the same reason that I can look at someone else's spouse and go, wow, I can never imagine myself married to that person. Does that mean that person's not good to be married to? No, it just means it's not a fit for me. The same thing when it comes to parenting. Don't always look at other people with envy or a desire to be like them, because everybody has a different way of being. Just like I said, my key to dealing with stress is to learn how to let things go. And I have friends that if you walked into their house, it is Martha Stewart perfection. Not a thing out of place, everything there. But I know for them that they do that to try to keep their sanity and their peace. They also pay a price for it. And they are the moms that stay up till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning working to get things that way, because it brings them peace in other areas of their life. But it's not easy to achieve without paying a price for it. And it's different for everybody what works for them and what's going to kind of bring them peace and happiness.
So kind of embracing who you are,
Absolutely.
what works for you, and learning through trial and error. Well,
Yeah.
I greatly appreciate you being here today.
Yeah.
Do you have any resources? I know you've worked with families. Do you have any resources that people can reach out to?
From a parenting perspective, probably one of the greatest resources, something I use with my own kids, something I've used in working with other people's children, and that I give parents that has been most helpful, is a book called 1-2-3 Magic. And it's about positive parenting through gentle discipline. And it talks about using the counting system 1, 2, 3 and a timeout system. But the biggest thing that I like about it is that it helps parents understand where we come from when we get frustrated with our kids, when we blow up, when we lose our temper, when we use the same discipline methods over and over and over, but no matter how frequently we use it, it's not working. It makes us as parents stop back and question what we're doing. And see our role in sometimes breaking the cycle with our kids when we feel like discipline's not working. And I love it because it's a method that works for everybody and it works everywhere. If you're in church, if you're in the store, if you're in the car, if you're at home, if you're in front of people, it doesn't matter. It works. And following through and being consistent, it's super easy. It's not a lot of big therapy speak. But every parent that I've ever recommended it to has loved it and says that it works wonders for them when they embrace it. The second part is I believe in what's called the family pyramid that talks about how do we create a stable foundation for our families. And it talks about putting your relationship first as parents and then building from there to take care of your kids, to take care of your family unit and up. But that all the stability upward for your kids comes from that relationship. And so I love a lot of the books by an author named John Gottman. He's probably one of the most researched people in marriage and family therapy when it comes to finding out what works and what's effective for intervention. And I love that he's got a whole series of books that are written directly to couples for them to do and work through exercises. And I actually use it when I do couples therapy with people where they read the books at home and then we work through exercises and lessons from it. Because it's all very practical. Again, it's really down to earth. It really helps you understand what's behind some of the gridlock problems we get into. And I like that it's really user-friendly and easy for people to do. And again, a book that no matter who I've worked with, I've never found anybody that says it doesn't work or it didn't, trigger things for them that really help them to change their perspective on stuff.
Well, I greatly appreciate you sharing that. I'm actually looking forward to checking that out for myself because as a mom, we're always looking for tips and
Absolutely.
tricks. And so thank you for sharing some of your wisdom that you've gained along the way with us and the viewers here. And thanks for joining us for Tired as a Mother, a podcast for busy moms. Thank you.